Hello, this is something very basic, very fundamental, and very important. You see several cones here, on the left in red and on the right in blue. They are distributed in the same way. Now when I select all the red ones and translate them, so they all move together, which is just fine. However, when I rotate them, let's have a closer look now. They rotate, if you look very close, in the y-axis, which doesn't have any effect. And if you rotate them in this axis, for example, they tilt like this, and in this axis they tilt like this. Also, we can scale them. Do they scale all together? Yes. They scale individually all together. I can make them smaller or bigger. But if I want to scale the whole set here, this does not work. Let's check out the blue ones now. When I scale the blue ones, do the individual cones get bigger or smaller? They separate more or less. And well, yes, they get a little bit smaller. But basically that's a totally different setting here, because I all of a sudden change the distribution. If I just use the z-axis here, they scale in the z-axis and they move away from each other as well. When I rotate them, do they rotate individually or not? No, the whole set rotates in this axis and in this axis. So the difference here is very basic. If you, for example, in a computer game, create several spaceships which fly in a fleet, you would typically prefer this one. When you have little particles which become bigger, some of them, and others smaller, you actually might prefer this here. For example, you probably know better examples. But the difference here is the following. Let's open the outliner. And here, these are the red cones, the ones here. And these are the blue cones. When I open the group here, which is just called group 1, I see all the individual blue ones. And when I rotate them instead of the group, I get the same as before with the red ones. So the whole trick is to create a group. Let's delete the group. So we just have the red ones here. And now we duplicate them. We select them all and Control D duplicates them. Here they are, the new ones. We move them to the right and we give them a new shader. New material. In my case, I can use the existing material, which is the standard surface shader 2. So now they're blue and they're still, when I select the 3 of them, for example, and I scale them, they get big and small, and they stay at the same place where they are. That's important too. Now I can select them all, and Control G creates a new group. With them selected here in the outliner, you can check it, whether the selection is correct, and then Control G, group. Let's see how this works. You see the pivot, as it's called, the center of the group, sits here in the origin. That's the origin of our scene. And we maybe don't want that. When we rotate it, we rotate the whole thing around this point instead of, say, around this point. So here the pivot comes into place, and you reach the pivot by pressing the key Insert. I press Insert now, And now I can move the group's pivot, its central point, to wherever I like. For example here. And I press insert again, and then the rotation goes like this. And the scaling accordingly, like this, from the center of the group. Now we want to ungroup the blue ones after applying several translations. And ungrouping, how does it work? Well, edit, group is here, Control G, that's what we did before, and now we ungroup it. Now they're here, the group is gone, and when we rotate them now, they rotate just like the red ones. I undo this. Now we still have the group, and I want to tell you a last thing about the group. In the group, you can change things individually. They're not restricted to the whole behavior of the group. For example, just pick this. It's bigger. Now, when you press the arrow up key, you select the whole group. That's arrow up here. We're selecting the group now, instead of, say, the cone, this cone, which we can make very small. So we select the group, and then we rotate the group like this, and this one stays big and that one small. So you can work in the group and have the group act together as well. You can create subgroups. Just select those, Control G, and of course you need to change the pivot here in order to make this really useful. Then you just rotate the ones here, but in that group here, arrow up or select the group here, this is the whole group. So work with hierarchies, and groups are just beautiful for making those kind of manipulations, where here you would individually have to scale them up and select the next one and rotate them and make them bigger or small. This is a very elegant way, the blue method here with groups. That's all for now. Have a nice day.